Good morning and welcome to healthylife.tv. My name is Paul Bursey. My co-presenter is...
Good morning, everybody. Warren Connolly here, or good afternoon. Warren Connolly here, yeah.
Now, we're going to get straight into it today. How to sharpen your mind and improve your memory. Now, funny enough, because I'm doing a functional nutritional course to become a practitioner, what we do, well, I'm a little bit behind, but what I'm doing this over the last week or so is to do with neuro, which is the brain. So obviously, but it seemed obvious that we should talk about this, and it's very, very important. So how important is the brain? Yeah. I was going to talk about the course, but I can't remember it.
Oh, maybe the question should be how important it is to keep the brain sharp.
Yeah, well, you can any question you like.
Because I mean, we know that you don't need to be a health professional or anything like that to know that the brain is important. Yeah.
Yeah, but when you're studying it, it does keep it to the forefront because most of us normally don't even think about it, do we? Until we can't remember that name. Then it becomes important. My mind's getting really bad now. I can't remember that person's name. Recall. It's all about recall.
Age related. That's not age related either. Eh? Not remembering people's names. There's many people that just do not remember people's names. Period.
Well,
unless they see you on a regular basis.
Well, yeah. I mean, there are reasons for it as well, though.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, of course.
And also, there was a few times, you have some footballers that I think it was a footballer actually shot 6 people dead in America. I think it was America.
American footballer.
I don't know if it was a soccer player or American footballer, but it was definitely a footballer. And it was soccer. I'll tell you why, because he'd been heading the ball a lot. And they've actually examined his brain and found that there was, real damage to his brain from heading footballs.
Well, this is something. I mean, okay, this is off the subject, off the the point. But you mentioned America and we mentioned American football. This is a similar thing with American footballers. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of home violence, home-related, violence in the home and stuff like that with American footballers because of the impact of the brain, and they're not treated correctly. These guys are not looked after and taken care of properly, and they're using a lot of medication which is not useful to them. But it's the impact of the brain that's causing all of the stuff from the And they're actually talking about, again, off the subject, but they were actually thinking of changing the laws of football for youngsters so that you're not allowed to head of the ball.
Yeah, they were talking about that. I mean, even with rugby, when the younger players play, it's all done in touch rugby and things like that, where they're not tackling.
Yeah, well, this is why they've reduced the height so much in terms of where you're able to tackle and stuff like that. Now they're thinking of in age group rugby having weight-related games, like teams, so teams based on weight divisions rather than age-related.
There are some big people.
Yeah, especially like in South Africa or New Zealand.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Big kids, eh?
Yeah. Everyone has moments of forgetfulness at different times, especially if you have a hectic life.
Yes.
If everyone's different, everyone's life is different. Some people use more hours in the day than others, and we are going to have little lapses of concentration and lapses of memory. Most times it's normal. Now, what is normal? Then you start really opening up a can of worms. What is normal? To someone who could just sit here and speak, maybe that's normal. If you're a professional sports star, maybe getting hit on the head is normal. So whatever it may be, is very embarrassing and very frustrating when you're trying to remember something. And you see it more in older people. Not someone like myself, of course, because I'm not old.
Not old, yeah.
But no, I mean, like if I
Lying it.
I remember my mum when she's in the care home, she could remember stuff that happened in the 1930s and 40s. It's clear as anything.
As if it happened yesterday.
You get to recall a conversation we had 2 minutes before. Couldn't do it.
Yeah, but this
Really,
is
really
also,
weird.
this is also something to do with, like, for example, and why I know this is because my one nephew, he has some brain damage, and your short-term memory is related to your brain stem, which is down in the back over here.
Yeah.
And we know that the body deteriorates at different rates depending on where it is. So there could be issues related to deterioration of a central nervous system, and that's connected to your brainstem over here. So there could be a relation with that, and this is why the short-term memory issue is a problem. But we're talking about remembering things and not being able to remember things. If you look at men and women, which is so different, so vastly different in how we remember things, because for men, it's important to keep focused on one or two things at a time, and if anything, one thing at a time. And this is a hereditary thing. This is back to the days of yore, when we were living in caves and hunting and stuff like that. You had to focus on one thing. So for men in particular, if you try to ask a guy to focus on more than one thing at a time and to remember certain bits of information, it's just not important for us, unless it's related to safekeeping and survival and this and that. Those are the things we're going to remember more pertinently than stuff that is just what happened in the conversation 10 minutes ago. Because that's just not as relevant to us as it is for a woman. And this is why.
Just reminded me of a video I saw where it was The Tale of Two Brains, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And it's spot on, absolutely spot on. I mean, because us fellas, we take the box out, don't we, to deal with one thing, put the box away, and then get another box out.
Yeah, exactly.
Women,
don't touch those. Don't let the boxes touch, right?
Women, everything's connected. Every conversation's connected, and they remember everything. And the greatest thing was, men have got a nothing box.
Yeah, I love that one. That was amazing.
I'll post it on the Facebook page because it's brilliant, But anyway, we're moving on.
For couples,
go on.
Or even for single people, if you want to understand the opposite sex better. Once Paul has posted that, and we must remember, we must bring it on at the end again to remind people, is go watch all of those videos that he does, because they are amazing. They are brilliant.
Yeah.
And you don't even realize that he's talking to a church. He's talking to a church gathering, until right at the end. Then you realize, okay, this man he's like a pastor or whatever. But he's so spot on when it comes to men and women and the differences between how our brains function.
Gangan or something like that, his name is, I think. Something similar.
Gungor, I think it is.
Gungor. All right, okay.
Someone Gungor.
I've got the G right.
Gungor or Dungo or something like that. Yeah.
Anyway, back to what we're talking about. Genetics actually plays a role in memory loss, especially with neurological conditions like Alzheimer's.
Okay.
So very, very important. The good news is that we can fight back on certain fronts, and that is with diet and lifestyle. And yes. And these have an absolutely major impact on your memory. And it's evidence-based as well, which is even better. And we're all looking to improve our memory naturally. So we're going to get straight into some of the things that will affect your brain. So I'll come up with the heading, and we'll see what you got to say on it, Warren. See, I spring these on Warren, so he has to. So that's why he's knowledgeable and I'm not. And I am really, but what I'm saying is, but what I'm saying is I put him on the spot all the time. So right. So number one is eating less added sugar. Why is that going to cause us problems?
because the sugar basically it messes up with the wiring of the brain, the frequencies and the communication in the brain.
Yeah.
And sugar compounds, they attach themselves to various parts of not just the brain but the body in itself, which basically then dulls the communication and the effectiveness of organs in the body and the brain's ability to communicate with the body as well. So,
as a layperson, I would say that sugar, apart from being devastating, plays havoc with all the systems.
yeah.
That's about the best, easiest way I can describe it. Eating too much sugar has been linked to many health issues, chronic diseases, and cognitive decline.
The major factor.
Enough said. And we're talking about added sugar, right? Because what happens is a lot of foods have sugar already in them.
Yeah. Most foods.
But what happens is also as when we deal with things like processed foods, they add sugars to them.
Yeah.
Which you're I don't know how many grams a day. Is it 34 or 40 grams a day of sugar max? I mean, it just sounds quite a lot, but it's not.
Not even that.
Yeah. So, I mean,
research, but just the common rule of thumb is just keep it low.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sugars as you can, and keep the processed sugars away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Best that you can.
Go as natural as possible. Research has shown that a sugar-laden diet will lead to poor memory and reduced brain volume, which means the size of your brain will shrink. And you won't have as many brain cells. And there's hundreds of billions of brain cells. So, very, very important.
Which is also one of the reasons why alcohol is so bad for you in the long run. If you
we'll get to that. We'll get to the alcohol bit, and a lot of people like a little drink now and again. Again, I think that if we can reduce our sugar levels, it will be absolutely terrific and really, really healthy. Right? Now we've done other shows on sugar and we've covered it there, but cutting back on sugar only helps your memory in the long run and also improves your overall health. Right? So, and the next thing is try a quality balanced omega-3 oil. Now, why is that? Now, we talk about this all the time. So, but why is that?
Well, because it does the complete opposite and reverse of what sugar does. Simple as that. So whatever the sugar does to your body as detrimental to your system, the omega-3 will do the complete opposite of it. It's the antithesis of
sugar,
absolutely. It eases the pressure on your nerve endings, your central nervous system. It allows the brain to do the job because it relaxes everything. It reduces the inflammation, whereas sugar increases inflammation. So and it helps with receptivity of your neurons and all your different endings and everything that goes on inside the brain. And it helps. And obviously, if you're drinking plenty of water, by consuming omega-3, it allows the cells to do the job as well and to be able to function properly. And by drinking water, you're flushing through the system, and that includes your brain as well. Because remember, your brain is more than 70% water. So,
as we said on the first one with the sugar, life is hectic if you have too much sugar. But if you reduce the sugar and obviously then bring in a quality balanced oil, algae based, then it calms the system down. It brings it right the way down, and that's what we want. You mentioned inflammation, relieves stress, anxiety, and slows mental decline. So that in itself, just those first two would be brilliant. Okay, but there's more. There's obviously more. There's loads more. All right. So the next, just to add to that, my mum had vascular dementia. which is due to poor circulation. And we don't know. I can't answer about the sugar part of that. But I know the balanced oils would have helped, but I came across it too late to help her. So it's it's a shame. But there we go.
Same with my father-in-law and my mother as well. Well, my mother never had she never had mental problems, but my father-in-law, he did. Yeah, he died from a range of different mental conditions.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the balance oil wasn't around at that time.
That's right.
It was, but I only came into contact with it too late. So yeah.
The next thing is meditation. Again, when we do things, the same things come up all the time, and the practice of meditation may positively affect your health in many ways, right?
Why do you think that is, Paul? Why do you think these things come around regularly?
Because they're bloody good.
For the people out there watching and listening to this, why do you think that is?
Well, you've got what we know, what we feel, and that is it's relaxing and soothing. And it reduces stress. I'm
talking about not just meditation, but like meditation plus the other things that you say.
Yeah.
They keep coming around all the time.
Because there are common denominators, common themes running through everything.
Yes. Yeah.
And, if you take a half a dozen to 8 things on board, and they're easy to do. I mean, all these things are easy to do, but people either won't make the time or can't find the time to even consider doing these things. And that's one of the problems. I mean, look, if someone said
things as well, we like to complicate things, and this is the
absolutely, yeah. And what and exactly, you're right there. And what you've got to do is actually simplify everything you do.
Yeah.
Rather than when you open a full set of cupboards and you see all the foods in there, okay, what we used to, forget anything about sugar and things like that, what we used to, right, over a long period of time, you look at it and say, oh yeah, I've got a full cupboard of food, and I changed the way I did things and it saved me a fortune.
Yeah.
It really did. I very rarely buy things now that have too much sugar in them. I don't. One of my favourite things to eat is Heinz baked beans. I love Heinz baked beans on toast, and they've got so much sugar in them.
I know.
And I just made a decision not to have it anymore, so I won't even put them in my cupboards now. Second thing was going to McDonald's. Now I always used to love going to McDonald's, and I gradually reduced it to 4 times a year, every 3 months, just as I was going to say as a bonus, but it's not really, is it? But then I really, really went into it in deep way. Go on.
No, you're going to say it's a bonus. I mean, it just shows that.
A bonus as in I like them.
Yeah.
But the more I went into it, the more I go, I can never eat this again. So I've now gone 6 or 7 months without any McDonald's, and I'm never going to eat one again.
Good for you.
Ever.
Good for you.
Yeah. So gradually, that's what I'm saying. Gradually, you realise what's not good for you, and you've got to eliminate it.
Our daughter wants to try McDonald's. She's never had McDonald's before.
I wouldn't even let her anywhere near it now.
She's 10 years old, and she wants to try it. And I said to her, it's like, like when a son or asks like they want to drink a beer, and you say, okay, you want to drink a beer, you have a beer with me. And it's the same thing. I said to her, if you want to have a McDonald's, you have it with me. You don't use it with anybody else, because I don't want her to go with her friends who maybe eat McDonald's regularly and then have it with them and think, oh, this is cool. I want her to go and have it with me so that I can remind her that this is something that is maybe a one-off. That's not something that is going to be a regular thing, because I don't want her to think that way, because she already knows, like, whenever from when she was a young kid, she'd see a McDonald's sign or Burger King sign, and she'd go, that's horrible, because she knows it is horrible from her parents. But,
it's a bit like, I suppose it's a bit like smoking. If you were to show them the results of smoking, like those graphic photographs, before anything else, they probably wouldn't bother.
No.
But anyway, back to meditation. As we said, it has a positive effect on your health. It's relaxing, it's soothing, calms you down, reduces stress and pain, Lowers your blood pressure. Again, another good thing. And will even improve your memory. Right? And the reason it improves your memory, because this is fact, it's shown to increase the grey matter in your brain, which is the cells. And that's very, very important for you. As you age, grey matter declines.
That's the one great thing you want to have.
Yeah, which negatively impacts your memory and cognition, right? Meditation and relaxation techniques are shown to improve short-term memory loss, even in people in their 20s. So, try it. That's all I would say for that one. But, do you still meditate?
And again, I'm gonna, of course, and I'm gonna just remind people that don't think that meditation is hard, because if you're struggling with meditation, that's perfect. If you're struggling to quieten the mind and calm your mind down while you're trying to sit in a state of meditation, or lie down on your bed or the couch or the floor, whatever, make sure you're comfortable. But don't stress about the fact that you can't quieten the mind, because that's not the objective. The objective of meditation is to let the mind run. Let the mind go. And whatever thoughts come into your head, just let it go. Don't analyze the thoughts. Don't process the thoughts. Don't, just let it all flow through. And eventually what will happen is that you'll find that over time, if you practice every day, 10, 15, 20 minutes of just sitting in a quiet space, no distractions. Maybe you need something to listen to. It could be a clock, it could be air conditioning, it could be the sound, something that you can, running water perhaps, and the sound of something that helps to keep you focused on that thought, that sound, your breathing, for example. But practice that every day and you'll notice that eventually the thoughts will disappear and then inspiration will come into you.
Shall I get in trouble now? Not the mother-in-law. Don't listen to the mother. No, I'm only joking. So
mother-in-law's chat in the background.
No, I'm purely joking. Love mother-in-laws. Love them. I've had enough of them. Anyway, next thing, maintain a healthy weight. That's I think pretty obvious, but maybe not to some people. Maintaining a healthy body weight is essential for well-being. Okay, and it keeps your mind and your body in top condition. Right, so there's been loads of studies, and it's established that obesity is a risk factor for cognitive decline. Very simple. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's obviously because of the sugars.
Yeah, and insulin resistance and things like that,
and all that. But the other factor is that your body has to work much harder to keep it going.
Oh yeah.
The resources are spread thin when you're overweight, and that's one of the reasons. Other reasons as well. So.
Yeah, and the other thing is obesity is also associated with high risk of developing Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah, definitely. Because
and it's a progressive disease that destroys your memory and cognitive function. So pay attention a little bit. I'm thinking for that one. But let's move on. And I'm not going to go into it in a deep way. Get enough sleep. And I think it's pretty obvious that if you don't have enough sleep, then your memory is going to struggle. There's no doubt about it. And
well, it's obvious to you and I think for the average person, the lay person, it's not so obvious because they're in that quagmire. They're in that space where they're not getting sufficient sleep and they don't understand why their brain is foggy and why they can't focus and think and retain information. They don't necessarily associate that with lack of sleep. They just think that I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm fatigued, but damn, I can't remember things. Yeah.
Now, we're not going to go into this in a deep way. I'm just going to mention it, and that is practice mindfulness. Okay. Do you do that at all?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I just practice being in the moment. Because with the word mindfulness for me, and this is something that somebody highlighted, and I thought that actually makes sense. If you think of the word mindfulness, you have a full mind. Yeah, and it's the practice of having a foot. But I just want to be in the present, in the moment, and have an
Yeah, but that's exactly what mindfulness is: being present in the moment. So, and the great thing is, I mean, it's like doing meditation. It lowers stress and improves concentration and memory. It's as simple as that. Very, very, very simple. And we're into simple things. You mentioned alcohol as well, so it's very detrimental to your brain. Very. Now, I am not suggesting for 1 minute you need to stop drinking alcohol. What I do suggest is don't drink so much. It alters the brain and results in memory loss and memory deficits. So that in itself should be enough to fall in love with just having a drink or two now and then. Which is perfectly healthy.
Yeah, if you reduce it to, say, like on the weekends, like a couple of drinks a day on the weekends, 2 glasses of wine, maybe 2 beers, something like that, you're not going to do a hell of a lot of damage to your brain. But if you're drinking every day, even if it's 1 or 2 drinks a day, every day, your brain your brain associates being in that state on a daily basis. And then your neurons, your receptors in your brain start to adapt so that it becomes the norm for you to be feeling that way. And that's not normal. That's not normal. And this is why people that will drink regularly, they need to slowly consume more and more and more alcohol, because
lessen the effect.
The effect is lessened. Exactly.
Yeah.
And your brain becomes duller. And then this is why you're not able to. And not only is it because of the sugars of alcohol that's affecting the brain, but it's also the fact that alcohol dehydrates you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There's a classic example of when we talk about a similar type of thing, and that is with prescription drugs and painkillers and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more you have, the less effective they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that. So as I say, I just don't use them at all now. I just don't use them. The healthier I've got, the less pain I've got. So I don't even have to consider taking them for anything.
I'm of the ilk that if you're experiencing pain, it's a good thing, because it's your body telling
you. It's a sign.
It's a sign. So don't take something to dull the pain, because then you run the risk of injuring yourself even more. Unless, of course, the pain is so unbearable that you can't think and do anything. Then you want to maybe then you might need to take some medical intervention for that. But don't start becoming dependent on it, because that's, again, going to affect your brain and your memory and your cognitive awareness and functioning and all of these factors, not just your body. It's going to affect your brain as well. So if you are experiencing so much pain that you can't handle it without taking painkillers, fine. Go that way, but make sure that you deal with the symptom, the source first. At the same time, start figuring out how to deal with the source. Go see a chiropractor, go see a physio, go see somebody that can help you with that pain, but don't just depend on the medication.
Absolutely. So the next thing is training your brain. So there's a few people who think they're training their brain, but maybe they're not. But exercising your cognitive skills by playing some brain games. They say it's fun and effective, but it's going to be down to the individual. But they're effective ways of boosting your memory, and the ones that I use are crosswords and Sudokus.
Yeah.
There's lots of. I'm sure there's lots of ways of doing it, but it helps reduce the risk of dementia as well. So, yeah,
puzzles.
Yeah, puzzles, anything like that.
But also when you're writing things down regularly as well. If you're writing things down, it could be on your phone. It doesn't have to be written in Word, but it is more powerful if you have a notebook with you and you write things down regularly, or put it on your phone. So if I have a conversation with somebody that I'm meeting for the first time, I go and I make notes about that. I'm getting into the habit of doing. I never used to do it, but I'm getting into the habit of writing down notes about my conversation with that person. So when I meet them for the next time, I will be able to remember things a lot easier about that person. And that's one example of being able to remember and improving my memory, because I'm writing it down. So I'm releasing it from there. Because remember, the brain works in this way: is that if we retained all the information we saw and heard every day, we would literally go berserk. Okay, so our brain has to filter what information it retains and what it doesn't. And again, back to the man-woman thing. If the brain, if you're a man, your brain's only going to want to retain a little bit of information because your brain's is designed for survival, not as much as for women, where it's with women it's about care and it's about much bigger picture than for men. Men is not big picture. Men is like, I'm here. So just write down things, write things down, and you'll notice that you will be able to remember things a lot easier without thinking about it.
Yeah. So number 9 on my list is cut down on refined carbs.
Refined carbs, yeah.
So what are we talking about there?
Pasta.
My favourite.
Bread.
No, my favourite is cakes.
Oh, cakes. Okay.
Cakes and cookies. Biscuits. White rice, white bread. It's damaging. What we don't want is spiking in blood sugars. That's what we're and it really does affect the brain. It affects with dementia and cognitive decline, and cognitive function. So it's very, very important that you look at what you're eating and cut down. Really, really consider reducing what you're doing. So because even a reduction can make a hell of a difference.
Yeah, just cutting. And a nice tip for people here is like, if most people, I think most people, you'll find if you walk into their kitchen or their pantry, you'll probably see those things at the front and center, easy to get hold of. If you know that you should be cutting back on these kinds of things, or you could be cutting back on refined carbs, refined sugars, put them in a place where it's not so easy to get hold of.
Yeah, like someone else's house.
Someone else's house, yeah. But just put them on a high shelf where you know you have to reach for it, or at the back of the shelf where it's not visible to the eyes. Because once the eyes see it, it's like, hello, come here, So have the healthier options front and center, in the fridge, or in the cupboard, in the pantry. Put them there more visible for you. So it's easier to get hold of rather than the sweetie, refined stuff that is not so good for you.
Right, number 10 on the old list is get your vitamin D levels tested.
Yes, I was actually having a conversation with somebody about that in Canada. And
most people have a lack of vitamin D.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, it's the same thing. The more you reduce the amount of vitamin D you have, you've got more chance of losing your memory. Right, and other cognitive abilities are affected by not having enough vitamin D. Again, you're increasing your chance of developing dementia.
This is why our oil is so good, because it's dealing with the omega factor, and it's got vitamin D in it as well.
Vitamin D3, yeah, absolutely. So
I was having this conversation with a lady yesterday out of Montreal, and she deals with referred patients. Okay, and she says she's never once had a patient come to her and request a vitamin D test. And when I explained to her the power and the benefit of knowing and understanding, then she was like, "You know what? That makes so much sense." But I've never had a GP refer somebody that needs that has requested a vitamin D test. Blood test, to understand what their vitamin D levels are. And it just shows how little information and insight is put into something as simple as a vitamin D.
Yeah, because we test for vitamin D.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, so it's worth it. It's worth every penny. Trust me. So anyway, let's we're going to move on a little bit. We don't want to get stuck on one thing. The next thing is friendly exercise. Right, so exercise is obviously critical. It's vital. It's important for overall physical and mental health, that in itself should tell you to get on your feet, right? Or in a swimming pool, or whatever it is you're going to do, cycling.
That's great.
It's beneficial for the brain, and it may help improve memory. Well, I'm sure it does, but
what, exercise?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but obviously, you know, the reason we have to say may. Yeah, but it also increases the secretion of something called neuroprotective proteins, and they improve the growth and development of the neurons, which are the obviously your brain matter. So very important if you want to stay alert.
And if you're of the older generation, like Paul's age or above, and and yeah, you have access to a swimming pool, especially swimming is a great activity to do.
Oh yeah, brilliant.
A, because it's less impact on the body, and B, because your brain has to work harder when you're swimming. Okay, and it's really good for your breathing as well. It improves your ability, your body's ability to consume and use oxygen better, assimilate oxygen into your cells much better. It improves your lung capacity through swimming. But your brain has to work a lot more when you're swimming as opposed to walking or running. So for that factor as well, it's really good for you.
But make sure you can swim first, because otherwise you'll have anxiety and panic.
I mean,
yeah, don't forget to take your rubber ring. So, one of the funniest things I ever saw was because on a Friday night, my dad and my brother and we all went swimming. My mum used to watch, and we kept trying to get her in the swimming pool. And one time we got her in the swimming pool, and she had this stupid. It's like it. She wasn't big, but have you ever seen like like an elephant with a little rubber ring, smallest rubber ring?
Yes.
There's no disrespect to my mum, because I don't mean it like that. But it was like she had the smallest rubber ring you could ever get, and she turned over and started drowning. It's one of the funniest things I ever saw in my life. Now, nothing was going to happen to her because we were all really close by. But I'm saying it, and she never went swimming again. I mean, that was terrible. Really. But I've got to say, I've never laughed so much. And I was only young. I was only about, I don't know, 11, 10, something like that. Yeah, never. Something stick in your brain forever, and that was
sure.
Yeah. So anyway, one of the other things you can do is, on a completely different level, is choose anti-inflammatory foods. I'm not going to go into it. Things like flavonoids, if you eat berries, high in antioxidants, go down that route. That's all I'm going to say. So just to let you know, from a personal point of view, I eat blueberries every day.
Ooh.
Which I believe to slow the rates of cognitive decline and memory. Right? So women tend to suffer a little bit more from this than men. And that's because they don't eat very many berries. I don't know. It's a strange one, but, you know.
How they calculate that, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't know how they calculate. I mean, come on. Right. So fruits, vegetables, teas, things like that, you know. Many of them. What we're trying to stop causing is oxidative stress, and that's caused by free radicals. Not going to go into it. But if you eat antioxidants, they sort them out. Simple as. All right. So, any more thoughts on that one?
No.
The other thing you should consider is curcumin. All right. Powerful anti-inflammatory. Really. And it stops things like amyloid plaques in the brain. I'm not going to go into it too deeply, but it's another thing that will, help with the decline or leading to memory loss. So you really want to break this build-up.
Yeah, because it's a plaque. It's a plaque, right?
It's plaque, yeah, and it's a build-up. It's a bit like furring your arteries.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so curcumin is a powerful antioxidant, and it has powerful anti-inflammatory effects on the body, and especially the brain. So Yeah, and curcumin is also polyphenol. Again, it's so it's very, very important. So find yourself some curcumin. That's what I say. Do you take curcumin at all? Go on.
What's that?
Do you take curcumin?
Not curcumin supplementation, but I do use it as a spice in my cooking regularly.
Okay.
Not as a supplementation, no.
You know, I've been using it for quite a few years now, and it does make a big difference. So, and what I do is I add things in gently, so you notice the difference.
Yes.
Because if you were to take 4 or 5 different types of vitamins or whatever you take, you wouldn't know what was doing what.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you've got to implement one, stick with it for a little while, get used to what it does, see if it's useful for you, and then you can introduce something else. You know.
Yes.
Now the last one is one of my favourites, and as you know, I love candy. I love chocolate, but those don't really help you at all because they get another thing that spikes everything in the wrong way. And true dark chocolate cacao is delicious once you get used to it.
Yes.
Not initially, first of all, and basically it helps everything. You know, it's a powerful antioxidant. It's also a flavonoid. It's particularly beneficial to the brain. So it's very, very important. And it helps the blood vessels, stimulates the growth, and increases blood flow. And of course, when you're talking about getting oxygen to the brain, which is one of the 3 things it needs, is very, very important. It's very important with memory. So if everything's furring up and you're not getting enough blood through to your brain,
dark chocolate.
Yeah.
A nice tip here for you is like if you want something of a sweeter, that connection to chocolate, and you're having something like 80% dark cacao chocolate, then maybe have it with a date. You know, eat some with a date.
Yeah.
Okay. Or if not a date, then, and I wouldn't say eat it with dried fruits, because dried fruits are just high in sugar. So, but eat it with a date. A date would be fantastic. It is a bit high in sugar, but date has got so much nutrition in it. Or alternatively, have it with some nuts. So you have like a square of dark chocolate. This is what I do, and I enjoy dark chocolate, but after a couple of bites, it's a bit much. So I have it with nuts, and then that kind of helps to dilute that intensity of the cacao, but also the nuts is fantastic source of good fats and other things as well for the body, omegas and that. So I eat that. I have it with nuts and some sugar, dark cacao.
One of the measures of good food is something called the Orex scale.
Yes.
And healthy dark chocolate is number 1, and it's well up there. It's like Mount Everest in comparison to everything else. So that's how important it is. It is definitely one of the best, if not the best, for antioxidants and flavonols and things like that. So that's why I shall continue to eat it.
Yeah, why
not? But I'm a sucker for cakes, sweets, anything. I'm terrible. Really, I should be a diabetic, and I'm not joking. It's only all the other good stuff I do that I think just about holds me in check. So, but I'm gradually eliminating all the bad stuff. So I don't look too bad for it.
No, you don't, Paul. You don't, and you're healthy enough. Besides the fact that you look younger than you are, you're healthy enough. So it's okay, man. And this is life. We need to enjoy life. We need to be able to appreciate what is out there, but in moderation. Just respect the foods that you're eating, and whatever you're consuming, but enjoy it and just be responsible.
Yeah. So just the top ones again is sugar. Try and cut down on sugar. Try and add a quality omega-3 fish oil, algae oil, and and also look at your your balance between your omega-6 and omega-3. We have loads of omega-6, but 97% of the world is out of balance with the omega-3 to 6. And if you need any help with it, all of it's quite simple.
It is.
Come and talk to us and we'll point you in the right direction. Yeah. And if you want to purchase anything from us, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine. You know, we're not. That's not how we roll. But if you need help, give us a shout. All right.
It's your choice at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
We're not here to push anybody in any direction. We're just here to coax you, hypnotize you.
I've enough challenges pushing myself. Don't know about that. All I can say is I'm nearly 67, and I can still run 50 meters in 7.5 seconds.
Wow!
All right, so I must be doing something right.
You are doing something right.
Turning up. Anyway, with that, we'll be back. What's the date today? 15th.
10th.
Oh yeah, we'll be back next Wednesday. Yeah, with another instalment of something.
If this was on Christmas Day, I'd be here.
Yeah. If you want to take a day off on Christmas Day, it's fine.
I really don't care, because at the end of the day, I'm sharing my knowledge, and if I can impact one person's life by doing these videos, then you know what I mean, that's sufficient for me.
Last thing, 1 year I did impact the children's life at a school by becoming Father Christmas. What made it even more memorable was the fact that when I put the white beard on, which is supposed to go there, I put that bit over my nose like that. Because I'll tell you what, yeah. And they're all going, as the kids are coming up, they're going, they couldn't work out what was right. Anyway, those are the days when I didn't particularly look after myself, but they wouldn't have known that. But it must be some kind of memory decline there while I put it over my nose. But I'm fighting back now.
Like most sectors.
Absolutely. Right, we're done. And we'll see you next week, 11 a.m. at London time on healthierlife.tv. 12 midday in Central European time. So see you all later. If you've got any questions, let us know. Please share this if you think it's useful or funny in any way. And please show the love. If you're going to like the video, do it as a love rather than the like, because Facebook love those.
Yeah, I love. And if you don't have any questions, then let us know, because then you need to perhaps look at taking something that we can offer you.
Lovely. All right. But we are serious about what we do, by the way. We have a lot of fun doing it. So with that, see you later next week, and have a great rest of the week. See you later.